Hello and welcome to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Ryan. I am here with my two co-hosts, Josh and Ethan. Week 1 is in the books, fellas. Week 1 is in the books. We are on to week 2. Josh, do you want to go over our week 1
I
dream
mean,
lineups?
based on my
Or
dream
at least
lineup
our
performance,
It
totals?
was kind of a stink fest for
I,
fantasy.
I,
I
okay,
mean,
I
yeah,
picked
for us for
Josh,
sure, but I think
for
for
those
everyone,
listening,
week one
I
was a
picked
stink
Josh
fest.
for a reason.
Well,
yeah.
I know
I
Josh is
don't
the
want to do
biggest
this.
loser,
Yeah,
but
I'm the biggest loser because half my
Yeah,
lineup got
yeah,
voted out like within a
yeah.
matter of days.
yeah,
But yeah,
but
but
And
you read how many zeros were put up? Or zeros are like
yeah,
1 point
yeah,
were put up this
yeah.
week.
yeah.
I
So
know. It was crazy.
I mean, we could go into that right before. Was this like the most exciting week of football, but easily the most disappointing?
It was
Yes,
very
no,
disappointing.
that's exactly
Yeah.
how I feel. Like I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I was like looking over at fantasy. It's like, oh, I'm not having as much fun now.
It was just so
Watching
Well, I
sloppy.
think
Like that's what my concern was. I was just like, man, all we've had these expectations for months, and then it's like, oh, y'all are, oh, yikes.
yeah, and I think a lot of that, like you said, Josh, it was the expectations. A lot of our big name guys, Lamar Jackson, especially the quarterbacks, Lamar
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jackson,
Oh yeah.
Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. I mean,
Well,
even
even Pat
Jamar
Mahomes.
Chase,
I think
Jamar
even Pat
Chase,
Mahomes was
T.
disappointing.
Higgins. Yeah, but T.
Mahomes also had
Higgins, Jamar
60
Chase.
votes.
I mean, there was just so many names that either put up abysmal points or put up nothing at all in the case of Drake London.
Oh yeah.
I
Well,
Dallas,
mean,
shout
that
out to
was
Arthur
just
Smith.
that was
Hey, shout out to
awful.
Arthur Smith though, because in his press conference he said, "I don't care about your fantasy team." That is a freaking one liner right there. I
Oh my
love
god.
that.
oh,
As
Yeah,
much as I
it
hated
was
him
just
because I had Drake
yeah,
London on both of my teams for Dream lineup and my actual team, but
yeah.
I was big sad.
So it was a rough week for some, a big week for others, like CMC, Tyreek Hill. They had
Yeah, I mean,
massive games.
and
if you have
Tyreek Hill, we will mention.
congrats.
Yeah. So, there's winning and losing and on both sides. So, you know, I was kind of disappointed how the week went as a whole because my expectations were shattered. But I'm on to week 2.
Yeah,
I really,
well,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
speaking
looking forward to this week
well,
too.
speaking of winning and losing, let's actually review our dream lineups here. Um,
briefly.
briefly, I started up in last place because I had Andrews get hurt, Christian Watson get hurt, and then everyone just kind of died on my team. So I
Dotson, we thought he was gonna. Same with Gibbs.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ethan in second place with 108 points. A solid lineup, only to be ruined by Josh Allen's implosion in the
And
Monday
Drake
night
And
London
Drake
game
London.
and
implosion
Drake
Yeah.
London.
Gibson's
And
implosion.
Antonio Gibson. Yeah.
Yeah, Antonio Gibson we need to talk about because that one I'm upset
That
about.
stinks. I'm
Yeah,
still mad.
and then but
Yeah.
our winner for week 1 is Ryan with having an insane lineup that ended up being right. So let's go through this, gentlemen. So quarterbacks, I picked Lamar, Ethan picked Josh Allen, Ryan picked Mahomes. The QB1 for last week was Tua, and
Yeah,
boy oh boy, Tua
by a
was
mile.
wheeling and
And
dealing.
guess what? In my work league, I benched him for Daniel
Oh,
Jones.
Ryan.
Dude,
Why?
I know. I
All
messed
right.
up.
Well, Ryan
I
won't be
messed up.
speaking again
No,
for the
that completely
See,
invalidates your dream lineup now, Ryan.
nope.
Why would you
Yep.
do that?
no.
Ryan is actually
See,
the biggest loser.
okay. So I didn't actually intend to do it. I just slept in a little late and made 2 mistakes, which cost me the week. I traded out the Falcons defense. I traded him out to pick somebody up off the waivers Saturday night, and
Why?
didn't put the Saints defense back in.
So
So I
you
didn't have
just
a
had
Well,
defense
no,
for
no,
the
no,
first
no,
couple
no.
of
Let's just
games.
stop right
oh,
there.
this is
Why
just
did you
operator
drop?
headspace.
Wait, why
I
did you
know it
drop
is. It was my
defense
mistake.
when they were playing the Panthers? I mean, I understand another
no,
one.
I had them in, but I thought the Saints were going to do much better, and they did. They did really well. So
Well, they didn't do better than the Falcons.
Yeah, not better than the
yeah,
Falcons, who are
They did
going
well.
up
but
against a
still,
rookie quarterback.
but it would have been enough with Tua in and my defense to win my league. I made the mistake. It was user error. It's the first week of football, so it's all
Shame on
right.
you,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
But
Ryan's rusty.
but
I think we're all.
my dream lineups though were
Yeah,
absolutely
so I
I
mean,
mean,
fantastic.
you just got the Eckler and Tyreek Boom. You know,
yeah. Well,
Well,
let's go
and
through.
Ridley.
Yeah, so let's start off with this. Tua had was 28 of 45, 466 and 3. Like unlike last year where it was let me chuck it deep, let's hope Waddle and Tyreek Hill can save me. Tua was putting it like pinpoint.
oh yeah, it was
Like,
everybody.
Yeah,
and
he
considering
was
like
slicing and dicing.
I should have, and this also goes to show how good of a coach Mike McDaniel is because Miami really struggled against the Chargers last year, and that's why I didn't really place Tua in there. I was like, they struggled. It's just a good matchup for this team. No,
But,
Miami came out swinging.
but
Yeah,
this week is against the Patriots.
Oh yeah, which
yeah.
that's a whole
That is a good
different
thing
beast in of
to
itself.
remember.
It'll
I mean,
it'll be
they
rough. It'll be rough.
they took a shot at the champs or
Yeah,
the runners,
they really
and
did.
They made
that
it a
was a
game.
Yeah, they
yeah, that was a good game. It was a comeback.
minus one pick six.
Yeah.
We could be
Yep.
talking about a Patriots upset there. Let's go with the
Yeah.
running backs, gentlemen. Your top two running backs. Well, I did it based off our tiers. So our top tier one running back was CMC at 33 points. He had one heck of a game, which included 22 carries, 152 yards, and a touchdown. Only 5 targets, but caught 3 of them for 17. That's enough to basically win you the week. And then our tier two running back, take a guess.
Algier by a mile.
It is not Algier.
Yeah. Really? Who was it?
Aaron Jones.
Oh, that's right. Aaron Jones got 30.
Aaron Jones,
Yeah.
9 of
Okay.
41,
Okay.
one touchdown, and then 2 catches for 86 yards and another touchdown, giving him 30.5 points for the week. We we will get to Algier because he was one of our top flexes with 27.4 points. So, man, CMC going off against Pittsburgh, that was kind of the shocker. Um,
I don't know.
I
I was
also,
kind of
I mean, not. I guess like I thought it would be more targets, more catches, but the fact that it was a lot of running the ball, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's big time.
that's
Because
fair.
and that's one kind of question answered because San Francisco had a few losses on the O line due to free
Well,
agency.
one thing to remember though, a lot of his rushing yards came from that 60 bomb that he hit,
Yeah,
Mhm.
which might be play of the year at the same time, but I don't know how many of those he's gonna do this season.
I would not say much. I feel like this game's kind of an anomaly even for him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the fact that he can have one of these games when it's not typically his game, obviously it's going to make him running back one for a reason.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, on the other hand,
He was just steady Eddie,
just steady
you know?
Eddie, but he had 13 touches the entire game. And I think one thing that we have to be kind of interesting about, yes, because he did get hurt. He had 47% of the snaps.
Yeah.
So that hamstring may come into a factor there, which
Yeah. After the
is
episode, we need to talk about the Green Bay Atlanta matchup this week.
oh yeah, that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, it might bring up in one of our other segments. And then we'll bring up the flex here. Algier, 27.4 points, but I mean 2 touchdowns, but 15 carries, 75 yards, averaging 5 yards a carry on a pretty solid Carolina
In
defense.
3 receptions.
Yeah.
That's the key.
I
I I,
think. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say I feel pretty confident saying Atlanta's going to like go through their running backs through hell or high water.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
definitely
for
going to be
sure.
using
I don't
them.
think they're gonna go away from them for any reason.
Mm-mm. Well, I mean, it's been effective. It's proven to be effective in week one. So,
But
we'll see as the weeks go on. See if a defense is able to stop them. But I think they're running with the hot hands right now, and they're just going to keep handing them off.
Well, and
So,
here's the thing though too. I think if you're Arthur Smith, you do have to go to the board and say, I didn't get my QB in rhythm. Yes, my running backs are elite, but we can't do this again.
mhm.
And
And
I
it is
also,
just one, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but they're gonna lean. They're definitely going to be leaning on them
right.
you
throughout the year, though.
also have to understand that you're going up against a rookie quarterback. The game was kind of in hand for a while, so I don't think that's going to be the status quo for Atlanta.
Hmm.
But when they can basically kill the game and just like run the clock out, they are going to run the clock out. So that's one thing
Yeah,
I'd say to keep your eye on Algier, especially if you haven't drafted him or if he's in your waivers. I think he becomes a must add.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think so.
I
Okay, let's
agree.
and let's go to our wide receivers. So one of our flex spots went to a wide receiver. But before him, let's talk about this insane stat line that I will pull up. Your top tier one wide receiver was Tyreek Hill, 15 targets, 11 catches, 215 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Good lord.
I mean, Tyreek is the yak master. I
Yeah.
mean, his yards after catch are just crazy good. I mean, he jukes out guys. It's funny watching him run.
They were
It's
He
just
was
crazy.
I know in
he was
training
just
camp they were
playing around in
talking.
the first half and then came out in the second half.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were talking about in training camp how it's like he didn't really understand the offense last year, and now he does. And I'm like, oh
Hmm.
my goodness, if that's the case, he's going to be relevant at least another 2 years.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, nothing more needs to be said. That man was just on fire. Now, your top tier two receiver, Brandon Ayuk, which
Yep.
his interesting stat line: 8 targets, 8 catches, 129 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Basically, I am so sorry, Pittsburgh, but he just straight up murdered your defense
I mean, he
by
was all about
himself.
when, and we knew that Purdy liked him when he came in the back half of last season. So I think some of this was Ayuk's going to be good, but we didn't know how good he was going to be.
And I mean,
And see what I think. I think Debo is done as the wide receiver one for San Fran. I think it is. I think it is Ayuk all the way.
I mean, it
But
definitely
maybe what upside?
today makes it that way. What the only thing that makes me like intrigued is that Debo still had more touches at the end of the day. So because of that, I still think there is something to hold on, but Debo's going to have to make more of what he's given, or else Ayuk's literally going to be the touchdown vulture of this offense.
Mm.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and then our last flex belongs to Jacoby Myers, 29 points for him, and
But
literally insane stat: 10 targets, 9 catches, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns.
That was a surprise for me. I didn't see this coming, to be completely
I mean,
honest.
we've been talking about, oh, is Josh Jacobs going to play or how's Jimmy G going to
Mm.
be? Completely forgetting that Jacoby Myers did sign a 3-year, $33 million deal in the offseason.
yeah,
And
and I
when you
still
have,
like him.
yeah, and well, when you have Devontae Adams on one side of the ball, that's going to open you up.
For
And
Yeah,
which,
real, yeah.
I
but
mean, let's see.
he's out with a concussion, so yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only thing where it's
Nice job until you got hit in the face with a car.
yep. And before we get to our week 2 dream lineups, we are actually introducing a brand new segment that honestly all three of us are pretty excited about. Instead of telling you what to do, we're going to kind of talk about the biggest questions we have entering into each week, whether it's regarding redraft, dynasty, keepers, any and anything, everything and anything of fantasy related. So this is our big question segment, and I am actually going to start off here. I'm going to ask y'all this question, gentlemen. When it comes to established starters, people that we have thrown their names into mock drafts all of the time, for especially have been just staples within the last few years, who is one established starter that will lose their spot this year based on week 1
Hmm.
performance?
Okay, I got my first one.
All right, Ryan, go for it.
This might be a little controversial. Derrick Henry.
I am so
I think
happy you
Derrick.
brought it up because I want to talk about Derrick
I
Henry.
think yeah, Derrick Henry. He got outsnapped by Tyjae Spears. So that was a shock to me. At the end of the game, I looked at like their stats and I was like, "What the heck is going on here?" Is King Henry being unseated? So we might see a little bit of a change. I think they might be saving Derrick Henry because he's had a lot of injuries over the last couple of years. After he sat out most of what was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah,
Yeah,
2 years ago he had the foot
yeah,
injury.
two years ago he had that foot injury. I think they're wanting to save him a little more. So I think they're going to be putting in Tyjae Spears into a committee situation, and they're going to split carries. So
Yeah, I mean Tyjae Spears took all third down opportunities, and that's the
mhm,
big red flag to me. So it's like, okay,
mhm.
if you're forcing Derrick Henry into a 2 down role, we were excited 2 years ago because he was getting the targets. And now
Yeah,
this year, I mean, it doesn't look like he's going to be that way. Yes, he had 15 attempts, but when your snap percentage is 48%, that starts ringing alarms for me. And I think maybe
yeah,
they're just trying to get some run just with Tyjae. Maybe it could be just like keeping a longevity about him, but yeah, this is not
yeah,
good for like long term like dynasty managers who have Derrick Henry or even redraft. I think this might be the year you start looking at, you know what? I'm going to trade away Derrick Henry while I still can.
yeah,
It might be time.
I think it is. To be honest, it's not. I might be. I think it is because usually with week one, like you have weeks and months to prepare for that game, and obviously it's going to be the first kind of your first moment of a different color jersey. But man, when you start having this intention of taking him off a third down and putting in another running back, and you spent a pretty good amount of draft capital for, considering Tennessee,
mhm,
I believe it was a third round pick. So, so not only if Derrick Henry, 15 carries is kind of low for Derrick Henry standards, he's not getting the targets like we thought he would. If he doesn't have the full control of this backfield, I think it's done. And even
yeah,
then, considering Ryan Tannehill's play, this Tennessee offense might be cooked.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
for real.
yeah. Ethan, who
So
is
that's
your
it
pick?
is a big concern.
I think it's going to end up being Monty.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that one.
I think
Okay.
he's established. That's their guy right now. But I mean, we all saw it on Thursday. Like,
Hmm.
we're sitting there watching this kid going, oh my God.
It's a different gear.
Yeah,
Everything he did, except
it was
missing,
electric.
like, he missed one hole.
Not and literally his touchdown. He would have had a touchdown had he not slipped.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. On the outside zone.
Yeah, that outside zone. Literally, it was him in the corner, and no one
Yeah.
was
We love
catching his.
turf. We love
Yeah.
turf. You stick
Oh
when you don't want to stick and tear your ligaments, and slip when you don't want to slip and
yeah.
cost you touchdowns.
Yeah, no,
We
I agree. I agree with both y'all's picks, and especially just this changing of the torches when it comes to running backs. I am
Hmm.
not going to go running back, but my answer to this question was Van Jefferson because I truly believe
Okay.
when Puka Nacua gets 15 targets and Van Jefferson's playing, like mind you, he's been in this system for years, and when Puka is getting 15 targets, I don't care whether Cooper Cup's coming back. We've seen this offense support Robert Woods and Cooper Cup beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really do believe that your Robert Woods replacement is not Van Jefferson, it's Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, he's on waivers right now, so go get waivers. We've been high on him. Uh, and to which Paul used one of the draft picks I traded him to get him, which killed my soul. But
I
he
would
didn't
say
start him, and
that
that's all that matters. And so
if I had the pick, I was going to take him, but I didn't have a pick.
yeah, I should have I should have honestly, I'm happy because I think my second round pick made it worth it. But what Puka Nacua, 78% snap percentage, 15 targets, 10 catches, 119. It's just that kind of volume, and especially he kind of came billing as like he's a pretty good run blocker at the wide receiver position too. So if he's going to be open like this, not including your main receiver being out there, yes,
Mhm.
he has two really tough weeks after this. He has San Francisco and Cincinnati, and to which I think someone's going to pick him up and either going to drop him because it's going to be rough, or it's going to be a good buy low candidacy, because then after that, after
Yeah.
Philly in week 5, you get Arizona, Pittsburgh, bye week 10. But like your playoff schedule, you're looking at Washington, New Orleans, and Giants, and that seems to be a pretty enticing playoff schedule too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
So I have one more if you guys want to discuss it.
I,
Um,
I am all ears.
Dalvin Cook. I I think with how they were running,
it's already been.
uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
I,
know,
never.
I don't
I
know
know
if
that,
I would count
I
Dalvin
know
Cook.
that, but he's been high enough, drafted this year just because of you know
His
with
name.
Brees Hall coming off of that and Brees Hall coming off of an injury. Not many people expected Brees Hall to be back so soon.
I
But
don't
when
know.
he was
I
playing
wasn't.
last night, I know, but Brees Hall, he showed up.
I
Like when
know.
he got
I
the
know.
ball,
What I'm
he
saying
was
is, I would
electric,
never with
man.
Dalvin. Like,
Yeah,
you go to a brand new team, it's going to take time to
yeah,
adjust. He doesn't know the playbook. He's
that's
still
true.
getting into football
That's
shape.
true.
He wasn't there for camp. He has no chemistry with the team. He just lost his QB1. Like, he never had anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
The
all
reason
right.
why I wouldn't
I
bring
can.
up Dalvin Cook
He
was he
might
was a
grow.
I
placeholder.
understand that.
He was a placeholder. It was until
Yeah.
Brees felt ready, and lo and
Yeah,
behold, we didn't realize Brees would be able to pull off an 83-yard run in week 1.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
yeah,
Brees was just standing in the back, like, guys, I've been ready. What do you mean until I'm
yeah, yeah,
telling you that
yeah.
I'm
He's
ready?
been on the bench going, guys, I've been ready since like training camp, so let's go.
Yeah,
I
I
don't even
mean,
know why you
But
signed this
yeah, I
guy.
just wanted to throw his name in, see if you wanted to discuss that.
I
That's
But
mean
fair.
the other one I'll bring up another one because this is the most painful one, is Antonio Gibson,
okay,
and it's
Yeah,
just
I mean, he was
I
like the theoretical starter. He was. We hope he was going to be the starter because we know that he's just better than Brian Robinson. But Ron Rivera is the bane of like football coaches. He's where good
yeah.
players die.
the
But I
the
gotta
issue. I
say,
mean, as soon as he
Brian
fumbled, it was over.
Robinson, yeah, but I gotta say, Brian Robinson actually looked pretty decent out there. Like he wasn't great, he wasn't explosive,
That's the thing. Like Brian
but
Robinson is
he
only
was
okay.
decent.
Brian Robinson is only okay, and
I
they're still
Yeah,
gonna start him over
he's
Gibson can be electric.
Brian
yeah,
Robinson is a lot
he's
like
a good
TJ
RB
Yeldon.
two.
Yeah, Brian Robinson's a lot like TJ Yeldon, is where it's like he does everything good. There's not like one elite thing to it, like to his game. But when he does everything good and he's consistent and steady, like you have no choice but to play him. Like
Yeah,
what's crazy is that it wasn't even a 50-50 split. He got 61% of the snaps, 19 carries, 59 yards, not the greatest, 2 targets, 1 catch for 7 yards, and that's his only touchdown.
yeah,
And so it's not like what he's doing is lighting the world on fire. And we all love Antonio Gibson for what he can be. But what happens when the player
He
who
just needs to
can
leave.
be doesn't be?
No, he just needs to leave. He just needs to go somewhere new. Ron Rivera is awful. I hate Ron Rivera. He sucks. He's the worst. There's a reason why he's in Washington. He is a part of that old group that sucked too. Everything about Washington sucks. All of you can suck it. If you like Washington, you probably suck it. And
Hey,
Brian, what's your
Ethan, I was just gonna say, Ethan, tell us how you really feel.
I think
So,
Washington sucks.
I mean, I will say, like, I'm
I
pretty
like
disappointed
everything
in that
about it.
offense. To be honest, I'm actually pretty disappointed in that offense, largely because you're playing Arizona.
Bro, that's what I'm
That's
we
where
don't
I'm
even
like,
get into that. You're playing Arizona, who had Josh Dobson in at QB. Like, come on. And you
yeah,
barely win that? Barely?
Yeah, and Josh Dobbs was
Josh Dobbs.
traded to Arizona 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Like, come on.
So
Come
the fact that it
on.
was a close game at all is kind of insane to begin with.
Ryan, what's
So
your
yeah, what is Ryan's big question?
Um, all right. So my big question after last night's game, what are the Jets going to look like with Rodgers out for the year? What's going to happen with Garrett
LOL.
Wilson, Brees Hall?
They're gonna win in
Like
overtime,
what's going to
baby. What
happen?
do you mean? Come on.
I know that looked really good. Like mainly their defense looked
Well,
fantastic,
Dak
but
had to
I'm
get
talking more on the offensive side. I mean, what is up with Garrett Wilson? Like
well, hang
Uh,
on. That's the thing. Like Zach had
that's the
rhythm,
big question.
and I think that's what we saw. He was not in rhythm. It was kind of thrown onto him. Like literally,
hmm
you don't expect Rodgers to go down in the first drive. So I think he
Four
had
plays in.
yeah, I think he had to hit like a mental reset and then get in rhythm. And then after that, he looked okay. Like towards the end of the game and into overtime, he looked good.
he had a couple
Yeah,
of adjustments where I was like, okay, Zach Wilson of last year wasn't making that adjustment. So
Yeah.
he is taking stuff from Rodgers, which is great. I think when it comes to this offense, I think they will go run heavy, especially when you have Dalvin
Yep.
Cook and Brees Hall, and
Yep.
then Michael Carter, if you want to add a couple like a spice here and there. But really, the big thing that I am concerned about is will the Jets look out for someone else? They do have another quarterback. That's their designated third quarterback. Well, he'll get moved up, but I think the reason why I am not totally like out on Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, Dalvin Cook is because I trust Nathaniel Hackett way more than
Yeah.
Michael Floor, like by a
yeah,
mile.
That's
And
that's
and we've seen in just history just Nathaniel Hackett being able to work with the quarterback, and especially even though Rodgers may not be playing, Rodgers from Monday to Saturday can help
well
Zach
also
Wilson be
I
like,
think
look for
yeah.
this,
Well,
look
and
for
he's
that.
I
pretty
think when
much
you
going to
have
be
games on,
another.
give him a headset. Put
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rodgers on
Well,
and let him
and
provide
having
back.
having Rodgers in that locker room as kind of a confidence boost as a pseudo QB coach for Wilson, you
Exactly.
know,
yep,
that'll really help him. Having that mentor there to help teach him, help coach him, say, "Hey, kid, calm down, focus on the playbook, focus
Yeah.
on this. You got this." Having that in the locker room, he didn't have that the year before. So, having all of that backing him up, it might end up being a decent year for Zach Wilson. He might be a potential sleeper.
No, I think so. I was gonna text you, Josh, too, after he got injured, but I wanted to wait. And I was just gonna text you and say, what was that about our awful trade?
yeah. What? Yeah. Look, I mean, it at points looked rough yesterday, but I am fully convinced that like that scheme there was no backup plan for Aaron Rodgers to lead 5 plays into the season. So there's a lot
Yeah,
of the checks, a lot of the game plan specific stuff kind of went out the window when Rodgers went out. So as far as your
yeah,
question, Ryan, I think Garrett Wilson definitely takes a hit. I think we're talking tier two, but maybe low tier two. It may take a little bit of time for it
yeah.
to get going, but uh, Brees Hall, Dalvin Cook, I think we can start talking tier one stats for Brees Hall.
Yeah.
Um, it's just they
Well, if he
cannot
keeps
get.
running like he did last night, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
definitely.
Which,
Well,
uh,
yeah, when you bust an 80-yard run, like, okay.
Yeah,
yeah, like exactly. And I think Dalvin Cook looked really good too. So it wasn't like
He
there's a
was steady.
like he was able to make it work. So I think Dalvin Cook is a much better
yeah,
running back too than Michael Carter was. So I think you'll have a really good 1-2 punch there.
yeah,
And I think if you're gonna still bring in Michael Carter just to keep those two fresh, you can run the ball. Actually, running the ball might be the best thing for you to do, especially when you have a Bills team that's too Josh Allen centric yet again, where Miami can score from at will, and then the Patriots can also drive down the length of the field. You might need to keep running the ball just to keep these offenses at bay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, with that, gentlemen,
Well, Ethan,
I
we
know,
have your
I know,
question.
no, I know,
Oh,
I know,
I got you. I
I
got
know.
you. I
I have
got
a
you.
question. I have a question. Is the NFC South actually a good division
Are
after
we?
what we've seen in week one? Not to overreact, but are they actually a good division? Because you just watched the Saints beat the Titans. That's still a good football team. Yeah, Tannehill had potentially the worst game of his life, but the Titans are still a good football team. And then you had the Buccaneers upset the Minnesota Vikings.
Who? Okay, I want to put a little thing in here for the Vikings
Yeah, yeah.
defending
Go
them.
go ahead, go ahead
They
and
made
just
no,
recap.
no, no. They made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of that was error on our side of the ball. It wasn't caused by Tampa Bay. So I want to say that like a lot of the turnovers was because of errors on the Vikings side and not disruption from Tampa Bay. So I think there's a little bit of a uh, deception in that, not intentional deception. I mean, like it, the Vikings are better than they looked on Sunday. They are, and I think it showed in the passing game in the first half. I think they just need this game. It's a warm up for them, and it sucks that they lost. And it was kind of concerning them not seeing them have the magic that they had last year in the fourth quarter. But I think they're still a good team. But I think the Bucks are kind of hyped up a little bit by this and by the Vikings' mistakes. And I mean, that's how
Not
football
only
is.
hype them
You
up,
capitalize on the mistakes of the opposite team. But, you know, um, I think the Bucks are a decent team. I just don't think they're as good as they looked on Sunday.
I mean, let's take it from this perspective. I think we can all agree that the NFC South is better than the AFC South, right?
yes.
Okay, so they're at least not the worst division. We'll take that.
That's true.
Um, is which division is better, NFC North or NFC South?
Probably the North.
Probably the North. And then how about the
But
NFC
and that's why I'm
East?
just bringing it up now before we get deeper into the
Uh-huh.
season. Is are they actually a good? Because I mean, down the line, it can be exactly like you say. Like, yeah, the NFC South. If you were to ask me right now, is better. But if the Saints, Falcons, and potentially Bucks keep trending the way that they're trending, because I mean, that Atlanta defense was legit.
It was solid. It was
It was
solid,
Yeah,
legit.
surprisingly.
I mean, so I mean, I would have been shocked if they weren't legit with how many different defensive additions they added to that team. But I mean, let's go. Let's just take this by team. If the NFC South is maybe the sixth or seventh best division in the league, they still have, I say, three. Let me think. They still have at least two good teams: New Orleans, Atlanta, for sure.
I
Tampa,
agree
I
with that.
think, is a lot better than what people were expecting to be.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I
I
agree
think
with that. Yeah.
Baker is giving like a under like a almost like a a really like I don't know how to say it, but like almost like an underdog mentality to it, a walk on
Even Gardner
mentality.
Minshew vibes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think that's actually that's helping that offense. Like Mike Evans had a good game this past week, especially when it comes to fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
And
didn't even get that touchdown either, which
yeah,
is surprising. Like
which that's big
he
because
was literally inches.
he has always been the one that's been so dependent on those touchdowns. But if we're looking at like Mike Evans here, 19 points total, but 10 targets, 6 catches, 66 yards, 6.6 average. Got to add the extra sixes in there, or else we're cursed. Got the touchdown, but averaging 11 yards a catch, like he's still going to be vertical down the field. Um, now Tampa may have it more interesting because I am concerned with that run game. I am concerned with Rashad White, but overall, good team. Atlanta, it really depends on Desmond Ritter. This past Sunday, I think there's still questions. I don't think anything's been answered yet. But when
Yeah.
you Algier, Bijan, it's your best position group on the team. And then at wide receiver is to be determined whenever Drake London can catch a pass. Not his fault though. But
Yeah, it was Arthur Smith's fault. And that's what Arthur Smith was talking about too. Like just early on in the game, he made the decision that we have to run the dang thing until we
yeah,
can figure out how we're going to counterpunch. And then they
Mhm.
counterpunched in the second half. Pitts started doing well.
yeah.
Uh, Mac Hollins started doing well.
I mean, this is what we talked about earlier. Atlanta's going to play through their running backs as they figure out the receiver connection. And I would say
Yeah.
for a lot of these run heavy teams that you have to just because you run heavy doesn't mean you disregard the passing the ball. If anything, that means that passing the ball has to be even better than what you're than running the ball because
Well,
it has to be ready at a moment's notice.
Josh,
So,
it was
Mhm.
watching that offense was like watching the 0-10 Lions, Sagu
oh,
Lions.
oh boy, oh boy, oh speaking of
It's
which,
like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do. Oh,
Jeez.
the same run play again. Oh, sick. It's like he does as much as he's like, I don't care about fantasy football. It's like, okay, Arthur Smith, but do you care about like actually figuring out a passing attack? Like, do you care about that? Because you can't just run the football 100% and win in this NFL. You can't. I'm I'm just gonna go and tell you
Well,
right now.
definitely not when you meet up with high energy passing attacks like Kansas City or,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
can't. You just can't.
you
I mean,
can't.
it will not work. So I
You can't keep
understand
up with
on
them.
one hand, yeah, you don't care about fantasy football and you're going to do whatever it takes to win. Okay, cool. But you need to have a passing attack figured out for some of these games because you will need it to win. Now, yes, Desmond Ritter is definitely already an upgrade over Mariota just because he takes care of the football, which that's all Atlanta wanted to see last year. They would have been in the playoffs if Marcus Mariota would have just taken care of the football. So we've already taken that step forward. You've seen the defense take a step forward. I don't know. I think they're going to be a team to watch, but they
they're
need
gonna
to how to
they're gonna
throw
be
the
a
football.
tough out.
Mhm.
I think for
Yeah.
sure. And I would not be surprised we see the division when they're at 10-7. Is just how my feeling is. I think you might have like
Yeah.
10-7,
Yeah,
two
that
teams at 8-9 or
that
nine
might
and eight.
happen.
Probably between 10 and 11. I'd be surprised to see an NFC South team with 12 wins.
And yes, we talk about even like the like abysmal passing. I mean, Desmond Ritter still threw 18 times. There were points last year where they were just simply not putting the ball in Mariota's hands,
Yeah.
and I think
Well,
that's
they
kind of
couldn't.
yeah, they absolutely couldn't, or something bad was going to happen. But the fact that Algier got 15, Bijan got 10, like it wasn't like this carousel like it was last year, where it was like Cordero for 12, um, and then who was it? Algier would get like 8 to 10, and then their other running back whose name escapes me was getting like 6, and it was just this carousel of we're just going to run
Huntley,
the
Caleb
yeah
Huntley.
Caleb Huntley, thank you,
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
and so
I'm going to be
so
for all these Falcons,
yeah, all news Falcons is going to be
even if it's obscure.
so. This feels, I mean, looking at Desmond Ritter's stats here, it almost feels it was too safe. So now you just got to get Desmond Ritter to go, just rip it, dude. Like, just,
Yeah, yeah, just have some confidence and go play.
yeah. And
I think
especially,
this is a big week though because you're going to see them against Green Bay. I think that's going to be very telling, and then you're going to have the Panthers and the Saints. And I think that's going to be very telling. The Tampa Bay
Mhm.
Chicago game, not so much because Chicago looks like they still have some soul searching to do.
yeah, they saw
But
Justin, like, yeah, literally Justin Field throwing 37 times and only 3 of them going past 10 yards, which that's not good. But I want to talk about, I mean, the Saints and Panthers are the two teams I got to talk about. Obviously, the Panthers are Uh, they're rebuilding. Bryce Young, yep, still made some mistakes, but I mean that's kind of what you expect of growing pains. They're
I don't know.
probably
He
going to
just got a
be
Jesse Bates sized ghost in his face.
yeah, that is true. And then I mean let's talk about New Orleans. It was a tough, grinded out kind of victory,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
is Derek Carr an upgrade over Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston? That is a
I think
stamp of
yes.
approval. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah. That is a clear upgrade. Very clear upgrade.
I mean,
Well, I think with that, this is the perfect transition into our lineups. I know we have some of these players that we're talking about.
yeah. So let's go.
Well,
Let's go.
let's get it out of the way. Let's get a couple of things out of the way. We pretty much have three people in all of our rosters. So our our running back ones on all three of our rosters is CMC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
That is
we're
we're
true.
all CMC
yeah,
lovers.
we'll start off with that. Yeah, CMC.
We're confident. We're confident in him. I know my wide receiver too, and y'all's flex is Pittman.
Yes.
So the
Pittman
reason
is
why I put him. Oh, you're wide receiver too. Sorry, my
yeah, we have the
flex
same
and
wide receiver.
Josh's flex.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
right. So we both have, or all three of us have Pittman. I don't know if you guys want to say anything on that, but
I mean, I
I
just
think
saw the
his
I mean,
light.
connection with Anthony
Pittman looked good.
Richardson.
I saw the light.
Yeah, yeah, his connection with Anthony Richardson is
My
there,
my
and
only
it's good
concern
to see.
my only concern is his knee injury for Anthony Richardson.
Mhm.
I mean, granted,
Yeah,
it's Gardner Minshew in the
It's a
backup.
bruise. It's a bruise. You
Yeah.
know, it's not going to be a big thing. He
yeah,
might run the ball less, but I think he's going to be fine.
But here's what you gotta be happy about: 97% of snaps for Michael Pittman, 11 targets, 8 catches, 97, and a touchdown. And he was getting a lot of the
yeah,
manufactured touches. Like his touchdown was a screen.
Yep.
Like
yeah.
I'll take that out of Michael Pittman. Like that gives me hope for fantasy, like as far as dynasty purposes. It's like
Mhm.
okay, he can be used in other ways than what Frank Reich had him going, and besides like being the godsend angel of terrible quarterback throws.
Yeah, we were just trying to figure out what like rookie QB was going to have a connection with who, and it just happened to shake out that it was Pittman.
And
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson.
And I gotta say, Anthony Richardson looked good out
He
there. He didn't just look like a runner. He passed the
Yeah, he
ball
gets
well,
slinging. He had a
which
couple
was
yeah.
of
very
overthrows, but
encouraging
he's just a
No,
big dude.
he
because
looked
that's what I was concerned with going into week one, trusting Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
It was really all dependent on whether or not Anthony Richardson had the arm. I know he has the arm, but whether he had the poise in the pocket to
The
be able to throw
NFL
balls to Pittman.
ability, if you
Yeah.
will.
And be able to handle himself against a real NFL defense. So,
And he did.
seeing that this week, it was great watching Pittman and him connect.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he definitely did. I just wish Anthony Richardson had a running back to help him out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Well,
uh
week 5.
Shout out to the owner.
yep, shout out to the owner here. But let's go over our dream lineups. We've already said CMC is in our tier 1 running back spot, and then
Yeah,
in
we
our
all
There
want.
was
flex
there was
Pitt,
one more.
yep, Pittman, and then we
There
have one
We
more
all want
person.
Ridley.
one more that we all share, and that's Calvin Ridley. All of us have
Look,
just raved about
it
him
took you one
this
game to
last week.
realize, oh no, this guy's moving different. Um
And um I saw somebody say, like uh oh my God. Kirk. Kirk is still their wide receiver one. And I'm like,
nope.
no, no.
No.
No, the way Ridley played and
I'm
Kirk
really.
was forgotten. He was forgotten.
Well, as
Like
an Atlanta fan, I would
Calvin
say
Ridley
Jacksonville, thank you for the second
just took
round pick
over.
from how much you're going to use Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, well, Calvin Ridley,
Yeah.
81% of snaps. Let me look up Zay Jones real quick because I think the surprise was Zay Jones over.
Yeah.
No,
So,
I think Evan Ingram was more surprising.
well, it's just
Evan,
whenever they
Evan
went in
Ingram
12
was
personnel is where
fast.
they took Christian Kirk off. Yeah, Zay Jones, 89% of snaps. So Christian Kirk, for him getting 72 million, they went out and grabbed Calvin Ridley in the trade deadline. He had 60% of snaps. Like out of the three, he had the least amount. So I think that's very telling.
I think it's
Um,
going to change. I do think
Yeah,
it'll.
oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, because Jacksonville's going to play a few teams. Let me look up their schedule real quick. Where like Kansas City, I think they may stay 12 personnel a little bit. Houston will for sure be 11 personnel, so he'll be out there. Atlanta probably will be 12 personnel. Buffalo, I would even argue 11 personnel. Um, the Colts again in week 6, 11 personnel. New Orleans might be 12. Pittsburgh might be 12 bye week. And then you have a murderer's row after that: San Francisco, Tennessee, Houston again, Cincy, Cleveland, Baltimore, Tampa, Carolina, then Tennessee one more time. So, I mean, based on this schedule, I have major concerns about Christian Kirk going forward. I do think Zay Jones is the pickup as far as like not only is he great at spot start from prior experience, but the fact of he is firmly the wide receiver too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because of that, like there's going to be a game where Ingram takes off, but that's just going to open the door for Zay Jones so much more, and that's not even including ETN and Take Bigsby.
Yeah. Well, with that,
Yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna start with my lineup. I've got Patrick Mahomes.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
especially if he has Travis Kelsey this week.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's still unclear. Um, I know that they re-signed Chris Jones. Dude said, "Oh, I can give him till week 8," and then immediately said, "Never mind. Team is going to completely drop the ball without me." But they're going up against Jacksonville. I think that's going to be a shootout. I'm thinking Mahomes. If he has Kelsey, Mahomes 2 times over.
Yep. I like that pick. My pick, as far as quarterback, I'm actually going to go with Josh Allen. I think he's not happy with how week
Yeah.
1 went, and they get Las Vegas, who yeah, it might
Yeah.
get ugly. Josh Allen and Diggs might be going
I
off.
mean, Russ looked sharp
Mhm.
against the Raiders. Just, I guess they didn't want it as bad as the Raiders did. They also had special teams problem. They missed a field goal and an extra point, or Denver
Yeah.
wins.
Yeah, Denver wins the game if they even get just the extra
I
point
I
field goal.
personally think that Denver looked a lot better than the Raiders did. Like miles better than the Raiders did.
Yeah. I have a question for you because I saw the notification for. Did Garoppolo get hurt at all during this game?
He did, but not like anything serious. He went out and came back in.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Mm,
understood.
Yeah.
okay.
Understood.
Yeah, I
Yep,
was like,
I was confused there.
I didn't see him
Yeah.
getting
Not
hurt.
not
But
injured, but yeah, he went out.
Yeah,
gotcha,
But Ryan, who
gotcha.
you
All right, so I have Hurts versus Minnesota.
ooh,
I
ooh,
think
coming
this
from
might
the
be a
Minnesota fan.
yeah, I know. The Minnesota defense is pretty
got?
squishy, and I think his rushing ability is gonna come out this game. I think the Vikings with this Brian Flores defense, I think they're gonna be rushing him and
Yeah.
trying to get him uncomfortable. And I think that's when he thrives. So, you know, I don't know. I could
I
see him getting some good rushing yards this game and putting up some decent fantasy points.
I
Yeah.
like that choice. So obviously our tier 1 running back is CMC.
Yeah,
Defense.
RB2s.
Yeah, RB
Yeah,
twos. Who
RB
you got?
twos is we need
I'm
to
I'm
talk
taking
about.
Monty. You know, I really like what they got cooking over there. One second, I'm gonna pull up the matchup.
And for what
They're up
it's
against
worth,
Seattle.
yep, they're
Uh,
playing Seattle.
I mean, Seattle just looks like a bad football team.
You,
This,
yeah,
so I mean, I'm gonna take Monty. I think Jameer Gibbs is gonna have a day too, but I think Monty's gonna be up there again in that like 17-point
well,
range.
Monty's going to be like, I think he's going to be like Algier here: 15 carries, 75 yards, and a touchdown. That's going to be a good day for Monty
Yeah,
there,
I think that's the dream, but he'll probably end up somewhere just below that bar.
Yeah,
most likely. But considering how some of the other running backs have been, we will
You'll
take
take
that.
it. You will
Yeah,
freaking take that. Yeah.
I I don't have Monty in my running back 2 spot. I do have him in one of my flex spots, but my running back 2 is going to be Ramondre. And
all right,
because
I like that.
oh boy, did Miami give up a bunch of rushing yards.
Yeah.
And I think Ramondre and Zeke actually would be a pretty good combo to kind of slow things down. I think that's going to be an emphasis that uh, Billy O'Brien and Belichick are going to make, is to try and keep
Yeah,
Tua and company off the field.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good pick. It's a really
Mr.
good
Ryan.
pick. Mine is Javonte Williams. I know he's being worked into this offense, and he's kind of splitting time with Samaje Perine. Is
Yep.
that how you say it? Yeah.
Yep.
Ryan.
Um, but I love that he got 6 targets during last game, and yeah, he only had a 45% snap rate, but he he averaged 4 yards per carry.
He was
Like
solid.
He
he
was
was
very
solid.
solid.
I watched
And
that. He was
he
really
he
good, man.
got some decent touches.
Yeah.
I think they're just gonna work him back in,
Yeah.
and I think he's gonna become. He might not become a bell cow, but I think he's gonna take a majority of the snaps.
I mean, the thing
Either
with
this upcoming week or the week after. They're gonna be working him into this offense.
I mean,
So
he gets Washington as a tough front four, but I mean that's something where
yeah,
I definitely think Sean Payne can get him worked in. But the fact of 45%
But they were using him
snaps,
eggs. They were using
yeah,
him for a lot of checkdowns, outlet passes,
yeah,
and that's something that Russ likes.
which helps
exactly,
because if
exactly.
anything, Washington's corners are not the greatest. So,
Other than Curl.
oh yeah, Curl's nice with it. I ain't gonna lie.
Curl's a freaking
But
beast, dude.
but
In
in
our
that
IDP Ryan, oh my god, Curl went off.
Yeah,
yeah, but in the 45% snaps, 19 touches still.
yeah,
Yeah.
So that's
yep.
incredible to see. All
Which
right.
that is the only
So
league I won my week one matchup, Ryan. Is
really,
our
that's
brand new
funny.
because in
Yeah.
my league, freaking Brees Hall came out of nowhere and Josh Allen crumbled under pressure. And then I just need to figure out
Yeah.
our league, this league that we're talking about. But I think I'll be okay. And then in the other one, just my entire team's hurt. I didn't have Kelsey, I didn't have Judy, and I didn't have Cooper Cup.
Yeah,
So I
that
was,
killed me not having Kelsey or Mandrews.
No,
yeah.
Kelsey.
That those are majority of my fantasy teams either have Kelsey, Mandrews, or
I was
oh
trying to play with
shoot,
Scotch tape, holding my team.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
it was
I'm
it was
I will tell you in our dynasty league, I am looking for another tight end just because Likely and Chigo Conquo did combined for 1.4 points.
yeah,
So like literally
yeah,
And
like
one of those points went
got
to
hurt.
yeah, yep, it hurt.
Yeah,
Luckily, Paul had Josh Allen and I held on, but literally it was rough, man. I ain't gonna lie. It
well,
was rough.
wide receiver ones. I think that's the only thing we're
yeah,
missing in
yeah,
flexes.
Yeah,
Well,
so
our second flex.
depending on flex or wide receiver too, I think we all have the similar one. I'm going to start with Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase gets Baltimore. It's not a guarantee if Marlon Humphrey's going to play. If anything we saw from the Ravens defense, they are going to let teams dink and dunk and hope they make a mistake on a long play drive. And I think that's going to help Burrow and company get into rhythm. Um, I still have the Ravens winning the game by a very, very slight margin. But
Mm-hmm.
but I do think Jamar Chase, if he gets a touchdown or not, is going to have a really good day. It's going to be
yeah,
like a 11 to 13 catch for 80 something yards is how I'm
It
seeing.
should be.
It should be.
yeah.
I'm taking Diggs in
Good
that
call. Good
Raider
call.
matchup.
All
Like
right.
Josh, I think that this team is just not happy with week one, and they're hopefully going to come out with something to prove. They should come out with something to prove because now they do. Because everyone's been talking about Buffalo to the Super Bowl, Buffalo to the Super Bowl. This is their year. It's been their year since 1993. So, you
Well,
at some point you either need to make it happen or
it's
you're a
just
nobody.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with that. I agree with that. That's a good pick. I think he's gonna do well this week.
Yeah,
Uh,
I liked what I saw last night.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Did
So yeah, yeah. So my wide receiver one is the wide receiver one so far this year, Mr. Tyreek Hill. I know I'm throwing a bomb trying to put him in my
Those two.
lineup. Against against New England, it might be a little rough, but then again, I
I
mean
mean,
Tyreek
historically,
Hill,
Tyreek Hill has only struggled against
yeah,
one person, and that is
yeah,
one Bill Belichick.
I mean, I'll
that's
bring it up
true.
here.
That's true.
Tyreek Hill last year against New England, 18 points. Then the next time they played him, he had
Yep.
15. 2021, I don't think he played them at all. And I'll double check. No, but I know.
Well, I mean, you still take 18 points, but
Yeah,
that's just
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
But
think he'll
hey,
go for
who
50.
knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Oh
that.
yeah, no, I don't think he's going to go for 50 either. But I think he's still going to be a wide receiver one this week. I don't think he's going to, you know, slump. But that may just be me.
Alrighty.
Um, so that's my wide receiver one.
I like the choice. So I mean, Ethan's wide receiver two we have talked about is Michael Pittman. We have also Ryan, me and Ryan's wide receiver two we have talked about is Calvin Ridley. Guys, who
So
is our tight
I'll go
end?
second place. Oh, sorry, tight end. I
Yeah.
completely skipped over that. I want to go last because I'm
Okay.
taking a shot.
I'll go first.
Okay,
Then. My tight end's going to be Darren
I do it.
Waller against Arizona. And when Arizona trades away the one person that can cover tight ends on that team to the Giants, might I add you, I think Waller's going to have a good day. The Giants really need to get right game.
Yeah, I mean, it just
Yeah.
depends if they're going to decide to show up or not because they did not show up on Sunday.
Yep, they did
Mhm.
not.
They
Which
got caught with their pants down, and
was
it
that was that in Dallas or was that in New
I'm
York?
pretty sure that was in Dallas.
Ye- ye-
No, that was in MetLife. That was in MetLife.
Which all right, so I would like to bring that up that MetLife had two games back to back. I do find that interesting if the NFLPA wants to get mad at them for scheduling that.
Oof. We also had the
Just
first MetLife season-ending injury with
yep,
Rodgers.
it did not take long, unfortunately.
MetLife has claimed many a knees and Achilles,
Many, 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 many.
more than any other stadium in the NFL. That is a
That is
true fact.
true. And then an NFL exec said there's no stats to quantify that.
Except for the stat that quantifies that.
Exactly.
All right, Brian, who's your tight end?
Okay, I'm going with Travis Kelsey.
If he plays,
Please,
So
but
if
you
he
please.
cannot change it.
plays,
You're locking
if
in
he
Kelsey right now,
plays,
not to
I'm
be changed
locking in
after the fact.
Kelsey. I know. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing.
He's taking a
I'm
shot.
I'm going with Kelsey.
Well, hold on.
So
I
I
am
am kind of
Listen, if he
taking a
plays, it'll pay
shot.
off. If he doesn't play, it'll hurt.
It will
as
hurt,
I have
and
learned.
yeah, it'll hurt, but I am sticking with it.
Oh, I learned too with the whole Goddard bull crap.
Oh, that was
Thanks for that,
annoying.
Billy.
Yeah,
One target,
I lost to
one
Connor.
target.
I lost to Connor in another league because out of nowhere, Goddard just goose eggs, and you're just like, what?
Why? Why?
It's like, what happened here?
He entered the Matrix.
He must have. I am
I'm
currently.
taking Hunter Henry. I'm let's just talk brass tacks here, boys. I'm thinking Hunter Henry this week. Um, I mean, Mac Jones has always liked him. He was just touchdown dependent, but if Bill O'Brien has really fixed this offense the way it looked this last week against Philly, Hunter Henry could be sorry, not is, but could be a legit, top tight end this year.
Could very well because he was a top. Wasn't he a top tight end? I think the 1 year Josh McDaniels had Mac Jones.
Yep. Yeah, he was up there in the top 10. I think he was 8. I think he was tied in 8 or 7, something like that.
Yeah, and it was very touchdown dependent. So Mac Jones does like tight ends. Let's see. I will.
That's our second flex. I think is the only thing we have left.
All
Yep.
right, I changed mine. I just want to be transparent on this.
No, you had to
I
Okay.
change it
changed
before
mine.
we recorded. No changes.
Ri-
No, no,
oh,
no, no, no. You
of course,
changed it in the
Ryan.
middle.
No, of
You
course.
changed it in the middle last week. All
Yeah, yeah.
right, all
That's
right.
fair. That's fair. But Ryan,
Until
I
we
am
say,
laughing
until
that
we
you picked this
say it,
person.
until we say it, it's not set in stone. All right.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that rule, Ryan. I'm just
I said
laughing.
before we started recording because Josh wanted to make a change. I said once we hit record, no changes.
No, no, that wasn't that way last week.
All
It's
right,
not going to
that's fine.
change week
That's
2.
fine.
All
We
right.
can, even though we talked
Oh,
about it before the episode, but
Dream
whatever.
lineups getting
I see.
salty.
I
Throw it
didn't
out
hear
the
that.
window.
So
Ryan will do
I
whatever
didn't
he
hear that.
wants whenever he feels like it. All
Yeah,
right, Princess, who's your
I
flex?
am. All right. So my flex one is Nico Collins versus
Okay.
Indianapolis
I
this week.
I had him in my lineup. Though I
Yep.
will say because I did watch the Ravens and Houston game in its entirety.
Yeah.
I was really I Stroud just doesn't have the confidence to make the tight
Yeah.
throws just yet. But I
Mhm.
think even with the loss last week, it was not as bad as people would make it out to be.
No.
His
Yeah.
security blanket 100% is Robert Woods. I think
Yeah.
Robert Woods him and Nico Collins were just back and forth, back and forth. Nico
Mhm.
Collins, I think, did a really good job, and he should do a
Well, I
lot
mean,
better against Indy.
when you get 11 targets, that shows that your QB trusts you and wants to throw it to you. So I want to explain my transition to Nico Collins. I did have Christian Watson, and he was out week 1 with uh, a hamstring injury, and those tend to linger, and that's why I was
Shout out
like,
Mike.
oh my gosh, wait, he's out. I got to pick somebody else. So, you know, um, that's why I transitioned to Nico because he was kind of a backup of mine that I was thinking about.
All right.
So
The last flex that we need to talk about because we already talked about Pittman, and then you can talk about. Oh no, I think we already covered both of your flexes already. Sorry,
Yeah,
Josh.
no,
yep,
you're
yep.
good.
Uh,
Just to kind of remind people, my flexes are David Montgomery and Michael Pittman.
yeah, just
Yeah.
because honestly, I had nowhere else to go that I could think of made sense for my other flex. That's the only reason why this person is my flex, but it's Brian Robinson. Because I mean, if they're going to give him the ball, like you might as well just get on board. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. Ron Rivera sucks. He's a terrible football coach. He should have retired. He should have been kicked out when the last heir apparent was kicked out. For some reason, they still want him in Washington. He sucks. He's horrible. He's even horrendous. But if
Okay,
he's going to keep
chill
handing
out.
the ball to Brian Robinson, he can be my flex.
Ethan, can I give you a proposition here?
Okay, what's up, buddy?
I will let you
Don't be so
change.
bitter.
I will let you change this Brian Robinson flex pick if I
Mhm.
tell you the player now. And if you agree to it, you can change
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Zay
I
Flowers.
agree to that. I agree to it.
Do I want to change to Zay Flowers?
Yes, I will give you the opportunity to change to Zay Flowers if you agree to it.
We should make that a segment on here, giving
Are you
each
willing
other
to
options like this.
Are you really? I will give
Are
you the
you
week
really
one
committed?
stats.
That's funny.
I will give you the Zay Flower stats. 84% of snaps, 10 targets, 9 catches, 78 yards.
Yeah, just because I don't like Brian Robinson, I'll rock with it.
All
I'll
righty. Let's lock that in. I'll lock that in for you, E.
All right, all right. We'll see it.
And
I'll do it.
I bring it up because that was my one takeaway from a really putrid offensive effort against for the Ravens is that Zay Flowers is by far and away the best receiver on the team, and it's
Yeah.
not close.
Well, and I was telling you this offseason, Zay Flowers. And you
That's why
didn't.
I traded. That's why I lost my Puka Nakua pick to grab Zay Flowers.
Yes, and you did as you should have, as you were
Yes,
supposed to, and as you should have.
as I should have.
Because Puka's not going to last. He's going to have flash in the pans, but Puka's not going to last.
All
Hot,
right.
Well,
hot
gentlemen,
take. Hot take.
Well, guys, that's it.
I
That's week
Yeah,
2.
let's stream lineups week 2. We have a lot to figure out, as I'm sure everyone else does.
Yep. Thank you again for everyone listening to week 2's edition of the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast, listening to our week 1 recap, our big questions, and our week 2 dream lineups. You can find us at Last Place FP on all platforms: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, so on and so forth. Be prepared. We're going to have another small episode coming out Sunday morning about the top news and injuries that you need to worry about and how for you to pivot. So just be on the lookout for that. We're going audio only for those just because we want to get it to you as quick as we can. Signing off.
So you can also
Hope
hear
you-
our sultry voices.
Exactly. 100%. And Ethan's was last week. It's going to be me this week, and we'll be able to tell you that. Now, Ethan, what else do we need to tell our audience?
I mean, something you need to never forget, because sometimes you're right and sometimes you're right.
And sometimes you win dream lineup.
And I don't want to hear that. No, I'm just kidding. Have a good
And
one,
sometimes
everybody.
you cheat because we're right.
Have a good one, everybody, and we will see y'all for news and injuries, and then next week. Have a good one.